Imagine a world where your car never needs gas, where the air you breathe in every city is clean, and where energy is truly unlimited. This isn't a dream. For over a century, one technology has secretly held the key to unlocking this future, locked away in plain sight. We call it the battery. But not the battery you know. Forget lithium, forget rare earth metals. The breakthrough isn't in what's inside, but how it works, a fundamental change. This single device, no bigger than a paperback book, could finally break our 160-year addiction to oil and coal. How is that even possible? The stakes couldn't be higher. Every year we burn enough fossil fuel to fundamentally change the climate and enrich a select few at a global cost. Think about your energy bill. Think about the geopolitical tension fueled by oil dependence. This isn't just about saving the planet, it's about freedom. Our current battery technology is simply not good enough. It's heavy, it's slow to charge, and it carries a massive environmental footprint of its own. For renewable power to truly take over, we need a grid-scale solution that can hold energy for weeks, not hours. The search has been brutal. The quest for the perfect battery began decades ago, fueled by the space race. We needed compact, reliable power for missions to the moon and beyond. Early nickel and cadmium batteries were a start, but they were temperamental, prone to the memory effect, and couldn't scale for daily life. Then came lithium-ion in the 90s, the game-changer that electrified our phones and laptops. It felt like the answer, for a moment. But as we tried to put them into cars and homes, their fatal flaws became painfully clear. Fire risk, limited lifespan, and resource scarcity. Cobalt mining, essential for many lithium batteries, has created vast, destructive landscapes and often relies on unethical labor practices, the hidden human cost. Many brilliant teams pursued alternatives, solid-state, aluminum air, even biological batteries. All failed to deliver on the scale we needed. The core problem was never the material itself. It was the mechanism of charge. We were still thinking about moving ions, charged atoms, one at a time. But what if you didn't have to push individual ions? What if you could harness the power of an entire electron cloud, moving like a tidal wave? This concept has been the holy grail of physics for 70 years. It sounds like science fiction, but it was just waiting for the right chemist to look backward. They went back to the earliest ideas of energy storage, concepts abandoned because the materials were considered impossible to manage. The challenge wasn't physics, it was engineering. How do you contain that much energy in a safe, repeatable, and affordable way? The answer was controversial. Their solution involved a breakthrough electrolyte, a liquid medium that could stabilize volatile elements without risk of explosion. No other team had cracked this. This single component changed everything. It transformed a theoretical energy density into a practical reality. Think of it as the ultimate firewall. And the elements required? They are abundant. They are non-toxic. They are cheap. So cheap you probably walk over them every single day. So if the solution was this simple, this fundamental, why did it take us so long to find it? The answer begins with a dusty garage in Silicon Valley and a bet that no one took seriously. The person behind this was Dr. Evelyn Reed, an obscure material scientist working with almost zero budget in Menlo Park. Her focus wasn't on lithium's density, but on the flow of charge. She had been obsessed with the potential of sulfur for years. Sulfur is abundant, yes, but it's notorious for dissolving and destroying traditional battery structures almost instantly. It was the ultimate poison. Reed realized that the problem wasn't sulfur itself, but the lack of a perfect, porous scaffold to hold the charge and prevent leakage. The material she used? Nothing exotic. It was a specially treated, highly conductive form of carbon. It acts like a sponge for energy. Together, the sulfur and the carbon created the lithium-sulfur battery. But Reed's design was fundamentally different than the failed attempts before it. Traditional Li-S batteries die within 100 cycles. Reed's design promised thousands of cycles. Her first prototype was astonishing. It stored 4 times the energy density of the best lithium-ion cells of the time. But even more critical, it was incredibly lightweight. Why does lightweight matter? Because in an electric vehicle, every pound you save translates directly into more range and less charging. It meant a car could drive from New York to Chicago on a single charge. And here's the kicker. The raw materials cost about 80% less. The world of electric energy had found its champion, its true alternative to the internal combustion engine. But the battle was far from over. You see, building a single battery in a lab is one thing. Mass-producing millions of them, safely and reliably, is a completely different beast. Scaling up this technology meant facing down the giants of the existing battery industry. They were not eager for change. Dr. Reed needed partners, but every major automotive and tech company she approached had the same response. It's too volatile. What finally changed their minds? A secret test, conducted in the dead of night, involving a drone, a remote island, and an extreme challenge. The challenge was simple. Power the island's weather station for 1 week using a single, small battery. No solar, no wind, just the battery. Traditional lithium would have died in 2 days. The Li-S battery powered the station for 10 days, with energy left to spare. The data was undeniable. So, how exactly does this sulfur-carbon combination achieve such a monumental leap? It comes down to basic chemistry. It's a trick of density. In lithium-ion, you are moving relatively large metal ions between two solid electrodes. This process is heavy, slow, and constrained. In Reed's Li-S battery, the energy is stored in the sulfur, which can bond with lithium in multiple ways, holding far more charge per atom. Think of it like a library. Lithium-ion is a bookshelf where each book, ion, needs its own space. It quickly fills up and gets heavy. The Li-S battery, however, is a compressed digital archive. The information, the energy, is stored much more densely, requiring almost no physical space. Protective carbon scaffold prevents the sulfur from dissolving, solving the core stability problem that plagued every prior researcher for decades. This breakthrough fundamentally resets the ceiling for battery capacity. This isn't just an improvement, it's a paradigm shift. The energy density is stunning. But the most unbelievable part? When you discharge this battery, it gets lighter. It's physics we've ignored because we were fixated on the wrong elements. This is because the sulfur changes its chemical state, releasing the highly lightweight lithium ions, thus reducing the overall mass of the active material. This small detail is what makes LIS perfect for aviation, drones, and satellites, where every fraction of a pound is absolutely critical. Imagine an electric aircraft that can cross the Atlantic. This battery makes it real. It is the end of jet fuel as we know it. This is why the giants finally started paying attention. It was too revolutionary, too cheap, and too powerful to be ignored any longer. The first major partnership was secured with a quiet energy startup, not a car company. They saw the grid potential first. The real threat to the oil industry isn't electric cars, it's the ability to store vast amounts of renewable energy for weeks on end. If we can store solar and wind power easily, then the need for coal and gas peaker plants simply vanishes. The fuel is free. This battery has the capacity to fundamentally stabilize a purely renewable energy grid, a feat previously thought impossible. Think about disaster relief. Think about rural electrification. The implications extend far beyond your garage. But there was one final massive hurdle. A production challenge so complex, it nearly bankrupted Dr. Reed's company before they ever made a single commercial battery. The precision required to lay down the carbon scaffold layer was microscopic. Just a few atoms of misalignment, and the cell would fail instantly. They needed a new manufacturing process entirely, something radically efficient that could build these cells at lightning speed and scale. But what does this mean for the person who relies on their gas car? And how quickly can we truly replace the entire energy infrastructure? That's next. Within 5 years of mass production, every heavy industry is projected to shift. Mining, shipping, and construction will all go electric. Consider global shipping. Container ships, historically the worst polluters, can now be powered by massive, safe LIS battery banks. This means cleaner ports, cleaner sea lanes, and a sharp drop in international carbon emissions from cargo transport. This touches everything you buy. Think about your home. The LIS battery can act as a massive home power wall, disconnecting you entirely from the grid during peak hours. This decentralization of power shifts control away from utilities and puts it directly into the hands of the homeowner. You control your energy. For communities in energy poverty, the ability to deploy cheap, safe, long-lasting storage means access to light and power for the first time. Statistics show that access to reliable electricity increases local GDP by 15% within 3 years. This isn't just power, it's prosperity. But what happens to the billions of barrels of oil the world stops needing? The geopolitical ripple effect is truly staggering. Nations built on fossil fuel exports must pivot rapidly. The balance of global power will shift from the drill to the manufacturing plant. This doesn't happen overnight. The transition will take years and require immense investment in new infrastructure and training. Think about the millions of new jobs created in battery manufacturing, installation, and software management. It's a massive reskilling effort. The LIS battery removes the reliance on expensive, ethically problematic materials like cobalt, cleaning up the supply chain for good. The impact on public health alone is worth the switch. Fewer particulates, less smog, and a drastic reduction in respiratory illnesses in urban centers. This new chapter isn't just about technology. It's about changing human behavior and rebuilding our world around abundance, not scarcity. To truly understand the gravity of this invention, we need to meet the people who sacrificed everything to bring this impossible battery to life. Meet Marcus Chen. For 20 years, Marcus worked deep in a cobalt mine in the Democratic Republic of Congo, risking his life daily. He dug the cobalt that powered your smartphone, enduring suffocating dust and the constant threat of tunnel collapse for a few dollars a day. His dream wasn't wealth. It was just to send his daughter Elara to a better school, away from the dangers of the mining town. But the cobalt dust took a toll. Marcus developed a chronic cough, and the heavy physical labor was breaking his body faster than he could save. He knew his lithium destiny was a tragic one. Sacrifice himself so that the world could communicate. The irony was crushing. Then, his community got a peculiar notice. The global demand for cobalt was about to collapse. The lithium-sulfur battery was scaling up. At first, it sounded like a threat, the end of their only income. But then came the second opportunity: clean energy jobs. The new sulfur-carbon plants needed local labor. The work was safer, cleaner, and paid better, based on the abundance of local materials. For Marcus, this wasn't just a job change. It was a complete reversal of fortune. He went from mining a toxic metal to processing a benign element. He became a shift supervisor within a year, overseeing the very process that eliminated the need for the dangerous work he had once done. One evening, he came home not covered in dust, but energized, ready to tell Elara that her tuition was paid in full and in advance. The true breakthrough wasn't just chemistry. It was the liberation of human potential, tied directly to the cost and safety of the battery. Dr. Evelyn Reed's theoretical work in a dusty garage had reached across the globe, fundamentally changing the lives of millions like Marcus. It proved that innovation, driven by abundance and ethics, can dismantle systems of exploitation faster than any regulation ever could. The lithium-sulfur battery is a beacon of hope, demonstrating that the end of oil can also mean the beginning of a more just and sustainable global economy. But what does this mean for the next 50 years? How will this single battery shape the very architecture of civilization? The implications for space exploration are particularly compelling. The weight savings are revolutionary for rockets and probes. A single lithium-sulfur battery could power a Mars rover for its entire mission lifetime, removing the need for bulky and complex solar arrays. This technology is the quiet enabler of our species' expansion, moving us beyond the limitations imposed by chemical fuels. Closer to home, imagine medical implants, pacemakers, neurostimulators, that last 20 years without dangerous surgery for replacement. The sheer safety and stability of the lithium-sulfur cell finally makes this level of long-term medical embedded technology a reality. It literally saves lives. But as with any massive technological change, there are risks. Who guards the new sulfur trade? Will monopolies re-emerge? The end of the oil era is not the end of human greed. The transition must be managed ethically, or we risk simply trading one master for another. Near term, 5 years, every newly built bus, truck, and commercial drone will run on lithium-sulfur. Cities become noticeably quieter and cleaner. Charging infrastructure shifts from huge power stations to small, integrated battery swap kiosks located throughout neighborhoods. Medium term, 10 years. The concept of a gas station becomes obsolete. The infrastructure slowly begins to rust and decay. Homes that can't install solar will use neighborhood-scale battery farms powered by cheap shared wind or geothermal energy. The global fleet of passenger vehicles reaches a tipping point. More electric cars are sold in a single year than gas cars ever built before. Long term, 20 years. The concept of a carbon tax becomes irrelevant because there is virtually no carbon being produced for transport or energy. Energy itself becomes so inexpensive, it's virtually free. The biggest cost is in maintaining the delivery infrastructure. But here is the most profound implication. What happens to the concept of work when energy is no longer a constraint? Cheap energy means automated vertical farms can be built anywhere, making food production local and completely immune to climate change. Clean water desalination, historically too energy-intensive, becomes a viable, cheap reality for drought-stricken regions globally. However, caution remains. As lithium-ion fades, the rush for sulfur and carbon sources could lead to new environmental shortcuts. Governments and corporations must ensure the same mistakes are not repeated with these abundant, but still finite resources. The greatest long-term concern is the management of the remaining toxic waste from the old energy economy, the last residue of the oil age. The energy is solved. The next great human challenge will be remediation and restoration of the natural world, damaged by the previous 100 years. The transition will be messy. Some countries will adapt quickly, while others, heavily reliant on fossil fuels, will face decades of economic struggle. Ultimately, this technology is a universal equalizer. The sun shines everywhere. The sulfur is everywhere. Energy access is decentralized forever. Think of the Great Smog of London, the acid rain, the oil wars. All these challenges are rendered moot by a piece of carbon and a lump of sulfur. The technological path to a post-scarcity, post-pollution world is now built. The rest is simply political will and human choice. Dr. Reed didn't just invent a better battery. She provided the world with an escape route from one of its longest, most destructive addictions. But what does this profound shift in power, both chemical and political, tell us about ourselves as a species? Did it take the brink of climate catastrophe to finally force us to look beyond the obvious, beyond the status quo? Maybe. The journey from the volatile lithium cell to the stable, cheap lithium-sulfur battery is a metaphor for human persistence against immense odds. The breakthrough was always there, waiting in the waste. We just needed the courage to look at the problem differently. Let's zoom out now. The history of energy is the history of civilization. We moved from wood to coal, then to oil. Now we move to storage and abundance. The oil age was defined by consumption and conflict. The sulfur age will be defined by sustainability and cooperation. A new world order is dawning. We finally broke the iron law of energy, that you must burn something to gain power. We now harvest and store the sun's excess. What does it mean for humanity to finally solve its greatest resource problem? It means our focus can now shift to higher pursuits. No longer shackled by the need to secure fuel, we are free to confront challenges like poverty, disease, and the mysteries of the universe. The battery that could end oil forever is not just a piece of technology. It is a profound declaration of human capability and resilience. It is a testament to the quiet, determined work of scientists like Dr. Reed, who never stopped believing in the impossible. But the ultimate question remains: will we use this new, abundant freedom wisely? Will we choose peace and sustainability over competition? The battery gave us the tool. The future is no longer limited by what we can power, but by what we can imagine. The choice is ours. This story proves that the greatest solutions are often hidden in the most obvious, cheapest, and most abundant materials. The waste of yesterday is the power of tomorrow. And that, in the end, is the real breakthrough. The end of the beginning. Thank you for watching Behind the Breakthroughs. If you found this glimpse into the future compelling, we have much more to explore. Don't miss our next episode, where we dive into the technology that has potential to change humanity and the world. Hit that subscribe button now and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future revelations. We want to know, what industry will the lithium-sulfur battery disrupt first? Let us know your predictions in the comments below. Your engagement keeps these deep dives possible. Like this video if you believe the age of oil is finally ending.